As usual, the students who knew Kevin started making snide remarks. "Hey, Kevin's taking over for Professor Colt. What the heck's he going to do?" "Just showing off again," another student commented. They all started laughing hysterically. But when they saw Dalton's fierce eyes sweeping over the group, everyone quickly shut their mouths. At one of the tables, there was a puff of red, yellow, and blue smoke, and the woman who'd been working on the pill reached in and pulled out her creation. The host, Pavel Dobson, announced cheerfully, "It's unbelievable. Contestant number 10 has actually produced a youth pill. They say that it can make you look 20 years younger. I may have to try that one myself." There were a lot of oohs and ahs from the spectators. Who wouldn't like to take something like that? Wayne Ford, one of the VIP attendees, commented to another, "You have an excellent student there, Richard. As I recall, you were able to do things like that when you were her age." "You're too kind, Wayne. I was just lucky back then." But you could tell that Richard Swinton was very proud of his student. Suddenly, there was a lot of commotion at the contestants' tables. A purple cloud was floating over one of the bowls. "It looks like your student is really good too. That's a very impressive display," Richard said in surprise. The other distinguished guest also commented on Wayne's success in training his student. They were all certain that Wayne's student would win first place in the competition. What a great success that would be. Wayne Ford tried to remain calm, but he was very excited at the possibility and the fame that it would bring to his student and his school. Kevin saw what was going on and smiled slightly. Then he took several deep breaths to calm himself down as much as possible so that he could focus. He had to come up with something in 25 minutes and do well enough to place in the top 3. So whatever he did had to turn out just right. After quickly running through all the herbal recipes he knew in his mind, Kevin came to a decision. He reached out and grabbed about 20 different ingredients and laid them on the table in front of the preparation bowl. One of the spectators said very loudly, "What the heck is he doing?" Suddenly all eyes were on Kevin. All the people who had been mocking Kevin earlier were nudging each other and wondering what he was up to. If he succeeded, they were certainly going to look like fools. Sherwin Blair and Doug Butler were watching this with their mouths hanging open in surprise. By now, all the distinguished guests in the VIP section were whispering to each other as they watched what Kevin was doing with great interest. What would happen now that an assistant had traded places with one of the contestants? One of the VIP spectators, a woman who was seated higher than everyone else, was wondering if Kevin actually had enough time to come up with a pill. Kevin got right to work and cleaned his professor's failed attempt out of the bowl. Then he immediately relit the flame so that the bowl could be heated properly before he added the ingredients. He took a deep breath and yelled, "Let's go!" As they watched Kevin add all the ingredients to the bowl, they began whispering to each other. Some of them were convinced that he would fail miserably. How could he possibly accomplish anything with so little time? Others thought that Professor Colt was secretly helping him. He obviously didn't have the skill to do this all by himself. What really shocked them was that he was putting so many ingredients together at the same time. After all, it's not like he was cooking stew. Professor Colt and the woman who was sitting in the high position both frowned as they watched him. The other contestants also had strong doubts, and it showed in their eyes. One of the basic rules for an herbalist was to treat each ingredient differently and only work with them one at a time. Otherwise, the chemicals in the herbs could affect each other and your pill would be worthless. If you really screwed up, the concoction could even explode. But Kevin didn't care about any of these things at all. He adjusted the flame so the temperature in the herbalism furnace climbed higher and higher. As the entire contraption began to tremble, Kevin got a wild look in his eyes and slapped the sides of the bowl. As he pulled the lid off of the brass bowl, the air pressure from the heated contents made the ingredients float in the steam above it. "What the heck is this guy trying to do?" they all wondered. Little did they know that Kevin had more knowledge than all of them combined. Looking at his formula, Kevin smiled to himself. This is for sure the best way to win the contest. Kevin was rushing to prepare an herbal pill in less than half an hour after Professor Colt's recipe had been ruined with too much heat. The entire audience was astonished to see him mixing the ingredients as they floated in the steam above the large bowl. "It's a shame that Professor Colt trusted him to take over, and now he's making a fool of himself," one of the onlookers remarked. Other people who were watching this could be overheard making similar comments. All of a sudden, the audience roared in surprise as they saw a blue cloud appear over the table where a competitive contestant from the East Coast school was working. It was very beautiful, and for the experts who were watching, it was a sign that someone may have won the contest by making an incredibly difficult and powerful pill. Of course, the rest of the audience members had no idea what they were looking at. They were just impressed by the spectacle and started cheering for the contestant who had done such an awesome job. Everyone thought that this would certainly earn her first place. The experts who were watching this were pleased, but at the same time they were a little worried. Although the competing groups seemed to have a good relationship, they were actually keeping an eye on each other the whole time. They were afraid that any powerful young herbalists in the other groups could pose a threat to their own organizations. Just then, Austin Swift, another contestant from the same region, popped the lid off his bowl and removed some bluish-purple pills that seemed to be glowing. Austin started to smile broadly in spite of being so exhausted from the effort. The MC announced to the crowd, "It looks like Austin Swift has succeeded in producing some very colorful pills. What's the name of the pill? What effect does it have?" He was hoping to inform the crowd, none of whom had any idea what was going on. Now there were two herbalists who looked like they would take first and second place. Kevin's steam concoction seemed to be forgotten as Austin leaned into the microphone and explained, "It's the reset pill. In less than a minute, it can clear your mind of all negative emotions." But Austin's tone was very arrogant, as if he'd already won first place and he was better than everyone else. No one noticed how the mysterious woman who was sitting in what looked like an umpire's chair at a tennis match suddenly sat up straighter to pay attention to what Kevin was doing. It was like Austin's accomplishment meant nothing at all. Kevin was actually stirring and manipulating his ingredients as they floated in the cloud of steam above his bowl. When the crowd saw the woman's reaction, they looked to see what had drawn her attention, and that's when they noticed what Kevin was doing. Until then, they weren't really interested in him, figuring he was just wasting everyone's time by being there. However, the experts who were watching knew that Kevin's technique was simply amazing. They could see his intense focus and his ability to control the rare herbal ingredients.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.